What's up, beautiful people? Hello, 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 and happy Wellness Wednesday. It is Coach Alicia, and we are here again for another Wellness Wednesday. And I am super excited about today's conversation. But before we get into that, make sure you tag your people, tag your friends, and let them know it is time. It is time for our Wellness Wednesday. But again, as you all are coming in, make sure that you let other people know that we are going live every Wednesday to talk about something within wellness. So every Wednesday, I have the opportunity to have different professions on this platform to give us knowledge about what they are experts in as it relates to health and wellness. If you are interested in being interviewed for a Wellness Wednesday, please let me know in the comments, or you can send us an email at our E2M Fitness email to let us know that you're interested, because I would love to have you on the platform. Because yes, we are here to feed the body, but we're also here to feed the mind. So we're going to allow a few moments for you all to get in so we can go ahead and get started. But again, today's conversation is going to be super, super, super good, and I'm super excited for it. But one thing I do want to say is before I don't want to get into the nitty gritty of the conversation, but I will say that it is going to be about postpartum, our postpartum journey, and a little bit more than that. But just because you may be thinking like, oh, well, that doesn't apply to me, I don't have kids, or I'm a man, or whatever the case is, I still think it's important for you to tune in, because knowing information about this subject is important, because it may not affect you now, but maybe it will in the future. Or again, if you are a spouse or a partner and it may not affect you because you're a different gender, and you're thinking, oh, well, you know, this doesn't really apply to me. Yes and no, because you can learn this information and you can share it with somebody that it does apply to. So I think it's super important for us to always have the opportunity to just learn more about health and wellness in all aspects of things. So that way we can help other people around us. But speaking of postpartum, man, listen, I am currently on my postpartum journey, and it is different, but different is good. I try to tell myself each and every day that the goal is to get better. And every day, that is literally, I wake up and I say, okay, it's another opportunity to be better, but not, uh, I don't beat myself up if I do have an off day, because I understand that it's different too. Like you said, different is good, but my goal is to get better. I think both can still coexist. But one thing I've learned about myself is that my energy is different, right? My endurance is different some days, and it's new to me. And there's nothing wrong with it being new to me. And I try to make sure that I control the narrative, or reframe the narrative of my life. What does that mean? So instead of focusing on the negative, I try to change my negatives into affirmations. So instead of saying, man, I'm not as strong as I used to be. Man, I don't have as much energy as I used to be. Man, the scale isn't what it used to be. No, I don't focus on that. I say that I am becoming stronger each and every day. I am becoming more fit each and every day. I am gaining more energy each. It's a different way of thinking, and it is so important that we make sure we are surrounding ourselves with positive voices. And listen, the voice that needs to be the loudest, screaming so much positivity, is your own, because we listen to our voice right here more than anybody else. So I make sure that I am feeding myself those positive affirmations and redirecting my negative thoughts if they do creep in. Because I'm human, it happens, but I make sure I don't get stuck there. So that is the goal for myself, and hopefully somebody was able to hear that, and you apply it to your life as well. But again, we're gonna have a few more seconds to let people come in, and then I am about to introduce our special guest. After I take me a little sweet. A little sweet. All right. Drum rolls, please. Hello, beautiful. How are you
Hi,
doing?
I'm good. How are you, Alicia?
I am doing really, really well, and I am so much better now. I can see your beautiful face. I feel like I haven't seen you forever in person.
Oh, I know.
But
It's been a while.
yes, let the people know who you are and what you do here at E2M.
Okay. I am Marissa Salemi. I'm one of the E2M coaches, and I am over on the E2M postpartum moms page. And over there, we've got all kinds of fun stuff. We've got a bunch of informational videos, and we've got a great group of supportive women. We've got some information on breastfeeding and increased calories after breastfeeding. So we've got some diet meal plans, all kinds of stuff. Um, by day, I'm an occupational therapist, and then I have a pregnancy and postpartum exercise specialty certification and a personal training certification. So I've got a bunch of education and background in this, and I have 3 children of my own. So I've lived it, I've experienced it, been through it firsthand. So yeah, I'm right there with you guys and living that same life. I've been through it, still going through it.
I love that. And we're just going to jump right into the first question. So, my first question to you is, what are the most common physical challenges women face after childbirth?
Women face several challenges after childbirth. You have to think from the time you're pregnant, your body starts changing from day one.
Mm.
And it's nothing you've experienced before. It's life altering from the minute you become pregnant. And so as the baby grows, you grow with the baby. So that's hard too. Your identity changes, your body changes. Things don't look the same, things don't feel the same. You might have aches and pains, and then you have this baby and you're facing yourself in the mirror and you don't recognize who you see because the baby's no longer inside of you, but you don't look like the old you anymore. And so that's just like the mental part of it. But then you're also you have these physical changes like issues with your stomach muscles, your pelvic floor, you could be breastfeeding, you could have aches and pains that you didn't have before, the weight gain you're not used to, laxity in your muscles and your joints. So there's all kinds of stuff. And anyone that's had a child or has been pregnant knows that it's just an absolute whirlwind of emotions and physical changes that you never experienced or thought you would experience.
Yes, and you list a lot of different things, and I'm sure it's, as we know, it's different for everybody. But what signs suggest that a woman may need professional help during recovery?
So you're going to want to pay close attention to if you have any like pelvic floor dysfunctions, which would mean, and a lot of women don't understand this, and it's okay if you don't understand it or if you haven't heard of it. Have you ever been around a group of women that joke after they have children that they like pee themselves and they think it's normal after children? Well, that's actually a sign of a dysfunction with your pelvic floor. So urinary incontinence, fecal incontinence, urge issues where like you always feel like you have to pee, that's also a sign of a dysfunction. That's not a normal feeling after children. You can have a lot of back pain, a lot of hip pain. You can have pain during intercourse. All of those are signs of a dysfunction that can be addressed with the right help. It's not something that you have to live through just because you had a child. It's actually there's something wrong, and your body's telling you that there's something wrong, and you can address it.
I'm so glad that you said that because I do not experience the whole I have to pee like when I'm doing jumping jacks or something like that. But before having baby girl, I would always see in the comments during a live or something like, oh, I can't do the jumping jacks, or just different like funny stories about, oh my goodness, I peed myself. So I'm not gonna hold you. I thought it was normal. I thought it was normal. So when I did start, coming back to work training, I do a lot of jumping jacks. We always jumping. We doing something. I teach cardio hit every Thursday. We in there. We jumping. And this may sound weird, but I was like, I'm supposed to have to pee, right? Like I almost thought that maybe something wasn't right because I didn't have the urge to pee. And it may sound silly, but I really was. That's all I heard about. People saying they have to pee, or like, girl, we can't jump after you have a baby. But here I am jumping. I'm like, is something wrong with me? I don't have that urge. I'm like, and no, no shame to people who do. I just thought that I was supposed to. So it's good to know that it is a sign. Like, well, no, not necessarily. And there's things that you can work on. So thanks for highlighting that.
It's really, and a lot of women don't know that, and it's really important that they do because you don't have to live like that, and it's embarrassing. A lot of people live like that, and they're embarrassed, and you don't have to live that way. There's help for you.
Awesome. So what are some safe and effective ways to start moving again postpartum. So we talked about, having those issues, but say for instance, you do have like, oh man, I know that this class, I may go to this group class in a, they may
Mhm.
not be in their home doing the workouts here with Eats Well. They may go to the group class, but they may not feel comfortable because of the pelvic floor. But what are some safe and effective ways for them to start moving postpartum?
Well, I think the first, like the most important part would be always consult with your doctor. You know, make sure you're physically cleared because
Mm-hmm.
every woman has a different recovery. It depends a lot on your own body, how fit you were before, how fit you were
Mm-hmm.
during pregnancy, the birth that you had. A lot of women don't think about that. An emergency cesarean is going to be a different recovery from somebody who had the baby naturally and maybe didn't have any tearing, or a third or
Mm-hmm.
fourth degree tear is going to be different than someone who didn't tear. So there's a lot of different things that factors that come into play there. So but for most people, what you want to be mindful of when you start trying to like move after the baby is first and foremost listen to your doctor and your body. Your body is going to tell you if you're in pain, stop, right? It's not worth it. You have to, those tissues took 9 months to stretch and grow the way that they did. And you need to let your body recover before you really start throwing it back into hardcore movement. You're going to want your uterus to be able to shrink back and recover. Those tissues were just went, those organs and stuff just went through a lot. They need time to heal properly. So you can do light stretching. You can do scar massage, which is really important for anyone that's had a C-section. That's huge. You're going to want to look into that if you're not familiar with that. 360 breathing is a huge one. That's going to start getting your pelvic floor and your diaphragm working together again, just kind of start tightening back up those core muscles. Another one that's really important is be mindful of your positioning postpartum. So a lot of women will carry the baby always say on like their left hip. So then you
Mm-hmm.
wonder why your back starts hurting or why you're tight on that one side. Don't always burp the baby on the same side. Don't always carry the car seat with the same arm and kind of hike your hip out. When you're breastfeeding,
Mm-hmm.
sit in a chair and put a pillow on your lap so that your arms are up and supported and the baby's supported so that you're not slouching forward 10, 12 hours a day and then wondering why your neck and your back are killing you. Stuff like that, I
Yeah.
would say is the most important first step. And then you get back into like your physical activity as you go, walking, your workout classes, stuff like that.
Yeah, that is so important. I think for me, somebody who's always been active for all my life, literally, it was hard. It was a hard transition for me to be like, what, y'all want me to wait how many weeks? And then when I go to, I went up to my first my little checkup appointment after I had baby girl, and most people say, oh yeah, I'm usually cleared to work out, do little stuff, but I wasn't because I was, for personal reasons. And I'm like, what? And I already had like my workout sessions planned for that next week. I'm like, oh yeah, I go to the doctor on Friday. I'm sure I'm going to be cleared. And I wasn't. And so it really was me having to be, tell myself, all right, listen, don't you go out there and you try to push past, your limits, because this is new for you. And that is something that was a challenge for me because I'm like, I just need to move, But once I was able to start back working out, it was great. But I did have to like do the baby steps, like let me walk. And it was great. And even with me walking, I'm like, oh, this is whew, okay. And so mentally, I thought I could do something, but physically, my body was like, just give me time. But to your point, it took 9 months. It's okay
Mhm.
to allow your. So it's not just okay. It's important to make sure that you allow your body to heal and move properly. So you're right. My next question, you talked about this a couple of times and you mentioned it about pelvic floor, but why is it
Mhm.
so critical? Like, why is pelvic floor health so critical during postpartum?
So everyone has a pelvic floor. Most people don't know that they have a pelvic floor. And what it does is it's a sling of muscles at the base of your spine, and it helps support your pelvis and your spine and a bunch of really important vital organs. Your bladder, your uterus for women. Men do have a pelvic floor too. Um, and what it does is it works with your diaphragm. When you're breathing, your diaphragm will contract down and your pelvic floor will relax down. And then when you exhale, your pelvic floor will come up and your diaphragm will go up. They work together. And in order for them to, they need to work together for you to function properly and to not to start to have those dysfunctions. So it's extremely important for you to maintain your pelvic health, and especially for a woman, obviously after you have a child is when your pelvic floor is going to like take the biggest hit per se, because you just went through childbirth. So making sure that that heals properly afterwards. And then, you know, once you get into things like diastasis recti, where like you have a separation of your abdominal walls, your pelvic floor comes into play with that, with healing. You need to get all your whole core and pelvic floor back together so that you aren't going through these things like the urinary incontinence and pain, unnecessary pain, and all of that, because it really is debilitating to your life. And a lot of women are embarrassed of these things or think that they just have to deal with it because they had kids, and they don't, and it's hard for them to talk about, and they don't understand how to fix it. So it's important to understand that so that you can get the right help you need to address it and go on and live your life.
And you kind of said something that makes us go into the next question, but you talked about making sure we're able to work on that health of the pelvic floor without having pain. So, what are some ways to strengthen the pelvic floor without going through pain? Because sometimes, like with workouts, it's like, oh, it's painful. I must be doing something right. I'm pretty sure, well, even with fitness, we say, I don't believe in the whole no pain, no gain, because if you're injured, I mean, if you're going through pain, you work through pain, that's how you get more injured. It's different between being sore and actually
Yeah.
having an injury and you need to, redirect yourself. So, again, how can women strengthen their pelvic floor without causing harm?
So the first thing is, if you're experiencing these issues and it's really like they're bad, you should always get help. A pelvic floor therapist is like hands down the best thing you can do for yourself to get pelvic floor health. But if it's something that it's not that severe and you want to start working on it at home before you get in for your appointment and you carry on with that therapist, there's things that you can do like 360 breathing, which is where you're taking a nice 360 breath, a nice big breath, you're expanding your ribs, and you're exhaling and lifting that pelvic floor. You're reteaching your body to breathe the right way, the correct way. You're trying to fix that dysfunction. You can do diastasis safe exercises, which we provide those on the E2M postpartum moms page, and they're extremely important. And anyone can use them, because what it's doing is rebuilding you from the foundation up. Like, you don't build a house on a weak foundation. Kind of the same with your body. You got to get those internal muscles, those intrinsic abdominal muscles, to strengthen properly in order to work your way from the inside out, so that when the rest of you is working out, you're protecting your core, your back, and you're strengthening properly, because you're going to have better function overall in your entire body if your core is operating correctly and you're not working through pain and dysfunction.
I like that. Yes, yes, yes. So my next question, and you kind of talked about this, but can pelvic floor issues affect other areas like digestion, posture, or emotional well-being?
Absolutely. So your posture plays a huge role in your pelvic floor. So if you have a constant slouch posture and you're kind of like leaning forward, your diaphragm can't work properly with your pelvic floor to take those nice deep breaths that you need to get that core activated. So that's a huge part. And when you're doing that and you're not breathing properly, you're breathing with accessory muscles, and that causes all sorts of like neck strain and shoulder strain, which then can in turn, it can affect your ability to work out properly and get results you want. As far as digestion, when you have pelvic floor dysfunction, it absolutely affects your digestion. It can slow it down. You can have bowel problems. You can become constipated. When you're constipated and you're sitting on a toilet longer and you're pushing, you can worsen prolapse, organ prolapse. For women, that's a huge thing, especially after childbirth. You can actually have like diarrhea, fecal incontinence from not being able to pass bowels properly. So your pelvic floor plays a huge role in that as well. And then your emotional well-being. I mean, some of these things that you go through with pelvic floor dysfunction, they're just downright embarrassing. I mean, they can affect like you can have painful intercourse. It can affect your love life with your partner. A lot of women I've spoken to, like, they couldn't go work out because they would pee themselves and they were embarrassed, or they had to wear pads everywhere they went, or they couldn't jump on trampolines and they couldn't do things with their kids that they wanted. So yeah, I would say that absolutely affects your life. And it's hard when it's an embarrassing thing that you don't really want to talk to somebody about, because you think you just need to live like that, and you don't. And there's help out there. And that's my biggest thing, is I just want people to know that there's definitely help and you don't have to live like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. So you hear that, guys. Definitely, if you know that this is something that you're experiencing and you're learning more about that, definitely use your resources and try to get that help. And if you are not a member of the postpartum E2M group, please make sure you go ahead and request to join that group. Marissa has a lot of great information in those guides that you can learn more about there as well. So, before we get into the last question, I do want to say thank you so much for just taking the time to share this knowledge with us. I'm learning a lot myself in this moment, so I definitely appreciate it. But my last question to you is, what helped you not? Hold on, I'm sorry. Got to read my handwriting. What helped you most in rebuilding strength or managing symptoms? Like for you personally, what do you feel like helped you the most?
Education, I would say. Having three children, I didn't know what I know now with the first one for sure. And
Mm-hmm.
recovery was a lot different. My second one, I still didn't really know, but I noticed issues. And I started educating myself on those issues. And that's how I came across like the certification that I got. And then I really started to understand my body more. And then I was able to help others understand their body more. So educate yourself in the fact that like listen to what I'm saying, look into it, go see a healthcare provider if you need to. That's first and foremost. You need to kind of have an understanding that something's wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
That, and then start slow, start with the breathing, start with the stretching. I took it slow. I understood that my body needed the time, even if I didn't want to do it, because I didn't. I'm very type A and I wanted to be out there, but I listened to my body and I took my time and build that strong foundation, build that core. And then as you become more comfortable, start getting back into that workout routine. Find a workout routine that works for you, that makes you happy. Each one has a ton of options. There's something for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Do the core classes, start with the DR core classes. And that's what I did. Like I started with the DR core classes, and as I got more comfortable, I started going back into the regular core, but I still do the DR safe core stuff. And then I just, as I got more comfortable, I started running again. I started like really diving into the workouts, built up my strength, and I got stronger than ever. And I loved that my body went through this journey. I didn't hate it anymore, what I was going through. I loved what I went through. And I
I
liked
love
watching my body go from where it was to where I could get it. It was like became a challenge. And I've done it 3 times, and it's
Come
amazing. You
on, yeah.
really, yeah, you grow like this new, I don't know. I've never loved my body more than after I had kids, which I know sounds crazy, but you don't really truly know what you have in you until you go through this, and then you see how you can change, and it's just amazing.
I love that. And listen, your body is tea, okay? You look great. So shout out to you for making sure you are, educating yourself and doing what needs to be done so that you'll be able to, like I said, just fall in love all over again. So also before we get out of here, let the people know how they can stay in touch with you. Any handles you would like to share? Go ahead and do
Okay.
so.
Yeah, so I'm over on the E2M Postpartum Moms page. You can absolutely reach out there. I'm always over at that page. I do have an Instagram, Marissa Salemi, real original. I know. I have a Facebook as well, but yeah, absolutely reach out, and I'd love to have you come join the Postpartum Moms group. It's a great group of supportive women. It is all women on that page, but you can be at any point in your life. We've got people from before they have children until women in their 70s. They all love it. It's super supportive. It's a great environment over there for these conversations if they need to be had. And, for any postpartum moms that need that support or those resources, there's tons over there. And I'm always willing to provide more if needed.
Yes. And I know that these are also aired on YouTube. So if you are not an E2M member and you just happen to fall upon this live, make sure you go ahead and subscribe. But also to learn more, just visit e2mfitness.com. And we do, again, have you'll be able to locate our email address on our website as well if you have more questions, just if you want to learn more about E2M. So again, guys, that is today's conversation. Marissa, thank you so much. And
Thank you for
until next
having me.
time,
I
God
know.
bless.